It's a tough one because I think, we've really focused on the people and the consequences of the lockdown to this point. Closed businesses, industries that are in trouble, people that can't get paychecks, all of that. But as we move out of lockdown, I think, a lot of the goodwill and the go team go spirit that has got this country through this, it's going to be a little challenged once we come out of lockdown and we start asking more difficult questions. You're starting to see that happening already. So, I think it's almost like a license to probe a little bit deeper almost once that lockdown lifts, because we'll be out in the world more. We'll be talking to different people. Offices will be open where we're able to get access to information requests through. So yeah, I do think the tone of the coverage will shift pretty considerably once we're through this initial period of just complete, wonder and unexpected developments every day. Once, being out of lockdown means predictability, it means stability, and a sense forward. And at that point, I think we will see the media focus shift much more toward, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What did we learn? How do we keep this from happening again? I think one thing that's been really interesting as we go through this is a lot of the conventional wisdom about what we could and couldn't do as a newsroom has been really challenged in terms of reporters working remotely, being dispatched remotely. I've always believed that the less time a reporter spends in the office, the better a reporter they are. And this really makes it that much easier when we come out of this to say, don't come to the office, just go to your assignment, go home and edit, and we'll see you when we see you, and that'll be fine. And I think there's a bit of a hesitancy in the UK anyway, compared to North America, about people working remotely. And I think of all the changes that we're seeing through this, that's a pretty substantial one that's going to be hard to dial back after this, because I can't see why, as a reporter, you'd want to come back in every day when you realize how smoothly it can work when you're remote. I think in the early days of the crisis, it was really clear people were coming to us for hardcore breaking news that they could use to decide how to structure their lives when things were really, really uncertain. So especially online, stories about the state of the lockdown, potential of lockdown, would get millions of page views, which is a significant number for us. And, those stories have really sort of trickled down as breaking news, A, becomes a little bit more predictable, and B, a little bit more depressing. And, even stories about the death counts and, the number of people who are sick, people wanted that in the early days. They're looking for hope. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for insight in a way that they weren't early in the crisis. As we get further into it, I assume that'll pivot again. Something I'm really interested in talking about. Not sure everybody else is, but, I'm taking bets on what the first story to bump coronavirus from the top of the broadcast, top of newspapers will be. I can't see that happening anytime soon, but careful what you wish for. But in the meantime, we're looking for stories about humanity. We're looking for stories of triumph. We're trying to honor those who have lost their lives to this and the people that are working to save them. And I think that's the tone of the broadcast that we're trying to hit, because just focusing on, the hard news, what you need to know, people are going to find that. There's a million different places to find that, but we could offer something completely different and special by doing what we do best, and that's really focusing on the people. In terms of working from home, I'd say 90% of our news team is working from home. They're able to, dispatch reporters remotely. Producers assistant producers especially, can set up calls, can set up stories, can, just do all the work that needs to be done from home. Our entire digital reporting staff has been at home for months now, a couple of weeks before the lockdown was even put in place, just to see if we could do it. So most of our staff is at home, which makes for a really interesting conversation when this starts to ease up a little bit and we decide, when we bring them back. I don't think we need to be too aggressive about that at all. We were really aggressive going into this to get them home. And I think we want to be really cautious about how quickly we bring them back, so we don't just end up sending them home again. No, not anyone in particular. I think there's such a wide range of companies and services across this country that, there's probably good stories to be told about all of them. I haven't seen much of the sort of opportunistic company X should be in the news because they've done Y and sort of loosely tied to COVID. I just haven't seen that, which is good because you always get that one or two businesses that, do something really sort of, do they have their bozo moment and they think they should take advantage of the publicity and put themselves first instead of the people they're trying to help. Haven't seen that, which has been good. So we're open to, pretty much any and all pitches. As long as you don't want anything to be too self-serving because it's just not, it's not good for your client. It's not good for us. But, when people are doing good work, whether it be a charity, whether it be a big industrial business, whether it be a commercial endeavor, or whether it just be somebody on a street corner, we want to tell those stories. So, we're not excluding anything at this point. Although I am a little leery that, things do start to feel a little repetitive, and we got to find a way to space that stuff out and make sure that, we're not telling 7 stories in one night about companies that are giving face masks to key workers, or, every night doing a story about someone who chalked up their driveway. We got to find a way to spread that stuff out. But we're definitely open to any and all things that are sent our way. It's a tricky one. We talk about challenges newsrooms face as we, try to do our jobs. We had a reporter out in the field the other day. She was filming outside the Edinburgh Zoo. She just needed some B-roll, essentially, that showed that the zoo was closed. So she went and had her camera set up, took up some sidewalk. A jogger came by, was upset, and this female jogger threw a bottle of water, dumped it over the reporter's head, which, isn't good, right? It's bad. And, we do have a right to be out in the world. We do. We're key workers, but also very aware that that doesn't mean we need to be out in the world all the time. So, we're really scaling back those B-roll moments. Do you really need to go and do a live shot outside of Hamden just because you're talking about football? Well, you actually don't, because you know what? Nothing happened in that building today. Nobody was in it, and you're just using it as a background. Just do it behind STV. That's fine. So, we are being much more casual about what we have in the background of our shots and how we position people out in the field. I've never been a fan of this sort of contrived location that didn't really add a lot of value to the story anyway. But this is just one opportunity to say, let's just, let's not drive that extra 10 kilometers if we don't have to. Let's send somebody else if there's an opportunity. And let's just really think, can Archive do this job? And if not Archive, is there somebody there with an iPhone? They could just send us some stuff. We're okay with that. And again, I keep coming back to this, but I think there's a real acceptance among viewers that good enough is good enough. And, I used to run news partnerships for Twitter. And one thing we always told people is, it's not important that you have the best video. It's important that you have the right video. And there's a lot of patience among viewers for quality being not as great as it could be, but it's actually, you have access and you're showing what's really happening. As long as you have that, people are fine. Everything doesn't have to be heavily produced and B-rolled. So we're okay with being a little more lax on that right now. I don't buy into the notion that PR people are a hindrance. I think, you develop relationships, you get to know the people you're pitching to, and at the end of the day, it's a good relationship, or it should be. So keep pitching your stories. Everybody's got to, everybody understands that you don't want to phone 3,000 journalists today trying to get your client placed in a story. We get that, or we should get that if we're thinking about it. You've got a job to do, we've got a job to do. Just be respectful of when you're calling. Don't call it, a deadline. I mean, this is obvious stuff. You guys know what you're doing more than we do when it comes to how to reach out to us. Always laugh when journalists say, I can't believe the PR people phoned so many people trying to get the story. What are they thinking? And, what you're thinking is that it works, right? I get that. So you're not a hindrance. Just, check in, work with us, make your clients available in good times and bad. Think of it as a long-term relationship. Don't think about, that one sort of soft pitch that, isn't going to really work out, and then you never talk to us again. Just, let us know who you're working with, let you know what they're up to, and tell us, what kind of stories they might be interested in participating in. And, that's how you really help. You guys know this. The PR industry is pretty sophisticated at this point. I don't buy the idea that we're on different sides of this. Just, bring your ideas to us. We'll talk them through. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's fine. And we'll get you next time. So, just keep working with us, and, you're never a hindrance. Promise. it's always worth pitching other stories. I've said this my whole career, that I'm more than happy to take a phone call or an email from anybody at any time about any story. I don't understand journalists who say don't phone between this hour and that hour, and don't bother me on Tuesdays, and don't call me in person, and don't send me emails that I haven't asked for. I don't believe in that. I believe we're partners. I think these stories work best when we work together on them. And if I'm not interested in the story you have today, I will be interested in those clients somewhere down the road. And it's better that I know about them and I know about you, and we get to know each other, than it is for me to be inconvenienced for 30 seconds by picking up a telephone on my desk. So by all means, continue pitching stories. I promise not to make fun of them on Twitter unless they're really, really terrible. And then even if I do that, I won't use your name or client. So we're safe, but by all means, just keep the stories coming in and we'll assess each one as they come.